Good morning and welcome to Radio Friends on Tuesday, January the 6th. Our segments have gone to the dogs and the cats. Today, it's all about our pets. We've got Dr. CB CHASTAIN with us, College of Veterinary Medicine. A little bit later on, we got a dog and a cat to the left from Second Chance. But let's start with Dr. CB CHASTAIN. For the first of the year, what do you want to deal with?
Pets on meds.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, the Federal Drug Administration came out with some questions that owners ought to ask their veterinarians if their pets go on medications, and I thought it'd be a good thing to go over. One of them is, well, how do you give the medication? And the main thing is it ought to be as stress-free as possible, because if you have to wrestle them one time, then the next time you try to give the medication, it's going to be 10 times worse.
Right.
So,
now, giving medication, giving a pill to a dog, to me is a fairly simple thing. It's when you have to give a pill to a cat. That's a totally different story.
Right. It can be that way with dogs, too. Usually larger dogs like yours, you know, that are laid back, they're pretty easy to
Oh, yeah. I
get
just opened his mouth, plop, and Barney takes a pill in the morning and a pill in the evening for thyroid, for his thyroid condition. And there's no problem to it at all. He doesn't mind it at all. But whenever you have to give medication to a cat, it's terrible. Right.
Well, it can be. It depends on if there's a treat that they really like and the medication can be hidden in the treat. That's probably the best way to do it. They make there's a company that makes pill pockets where you can put pills in. That works okay. But I think there's a lot of other things around the house that work just as well, like peanut butter, soft cheeses, bread that you can wad up in balls.
Putting a pill in there.
Yeah, for cats, a lot of times, tuna fish with a little mayonnaise, just a little bit to hide enough of the medication works.
And
well.
what if the cat has to be on medication permanently? Can you overdo it with a little bit of tuna fish every day?
No, not if you only give a small amount. It ought to remain a treat. You know, they ought to be eating their regular food afterwards. But another question is how often should you give the medication, and what if I forget a dose? Well, most medicines are given 1 to 4 times a day, and the veterinarian will have that on the label. If you miss a dose, it may not be a big problem, but it's a good idea to try to avoid that. If you are late on a dose, you ought to be pretty close, but if you're 30 minutes to an hour off, it usually doesn't cause a problem, so you shouldn't worry about that. Another question is how long to give it. That depends on the medication. A lot of antibiotics, if it's a short-term illness that clears up pretty fast, they ought to be on the antibiotic for about at least 2 days after they seem to be normal.
Right, because it could still be there, and you stop the antibiotic, and it comes back again.
Right, and if it's chronic infection, usually the rule of thumb is to keep them on the antibiotic for at least a week after they seem to be normal. So then there's medications like anticonvulsants that are corticosteroids, cortisone products that you shouldn't stop abruptly. So it depends on the medication.
Okay, and so any questions you have, obviously you want to talk it over with your veterinarian.
Right.
And if you have any questions about it while you're giving the medication, talk it over with your veterinarian.
Right.
Just don't decide on your own unless you're a doctor yourself. All right. Dr. CB CHASTAIN, always a pleasure having you here.
Thanks, Paul.
Okay, and Happy New Year to you, and tell Joyce and your grandkids we said Happy New Year too, and all your critters too.
Thank you.
All right. Now, we turn over here to Valerie Chaffin.
Hi,
Second
Paul.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year, Paul.
And you've got a little kitty that you're holding, and you've got a volunteer here who's holding a little doggy.
Yeah, let me introduce you to Hattie Rose, a new kitten, and Justin, and they're being fostered by Kathleen McKinney.
Okay, and Justin is what kind of dog?
Chihuahua mix. He's a
Chihuahua
little over a year old.
Okay, if you want to see Justin and the kitty, just go to kbia.org and click on the vodcast of Radio Friends. And they're both precious.
Yeah, I think Hattie Rose is going to sleep through this interview. But
Right.
Justin, it kind of wants to pay attention, so that's good to hear.
But the reason they're here is you're having an event this Friday, January 9th, right?
It begins something new for us this year. We're partnering up with PetSmart and the Columbia Mall. And on the second Friday of every month, we will be at PetSmart and the Columbia Mall. Second Fridays with Second Chance. So cats will be at the mall from 6 to 9, and dogs will be at PetSmart from 6 to 9. Second Fridays with Second Chance. Every second Friday throughout this year.
Okay, that's nice.
We're excited.
How many animals will be there?
It's hard to know. We've got about 160 total right now, and it's hard to know who's going to be there for Friday night. But as many as we can get out there that are healthy and ready for adoption will be out there on Friday night.
Okay. If somebody wants to adopt a pet Friday night, are they going to be able to go home with their pet that night, or is there a process that has to take place first?
Yes and yes. It's better for the process to take place ahead of time. So I highly encourage your listeners, if they're interested in a pet, to go on our website, which is www.columbiasecondchance.org, and go on the Adopt a Dog and Adopt a Cat links. There's an application right there. You can fill it out, and the pictures of all our animals are also on the link. And go ahead and fill out the application and tell us what you're interested in. If it's a particular animal, that's fine, but if it's a particular type of animal, dog or cat, small or large, male or female, let us know that too, and then come Friday night, come out and see who we've got and see if we can make a match.
So if you filled out all the paperwork, you could possibly go home with your new friend your new family member that night.
Yes, you can.
And that's what they are. They are definitely a family member. And this little doggy right now, we've got a great picture of this dog.
Justin, are you showing off?
Oh, that's a nice dog. But if they don't go online and they come on Friday night and they see an animal that they've fallen in love with, can they still go home with the animal that night?
It's a possibility. We'd rather wait through the weekend, and that's why these Friday night adoption events are so important. You can meet them on Friday night and then come out to our place on Saturday or Sunday afternoon and get to know them better, and we'll see if we can't make the match happen that way.
Yeah, okay. And all of the pets have been neutered and spayed before they go to their new home.
That's
correct?
right. They've all been neutered and spayed. They've all been microchipped, and they've all had their vaccinations up to date per their age at that month.
And if somebody would like to volunteer to foster, they can contact you and they can talk to you Friday night, right?
Yes, and they can do that too Friday night.
Okay. And what's your website address again, Valerie?
www.columbia2ndchance.org.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much for coming by. And I hope you adopt a lot of animals on Friday night.
I hope so too.
Okay. We're out of time for today. Tomorrow, the Community Foundation of Central Missouri. John Baker will be here, our topic. Our program directed by Travis McMillen, Reynolds Journalism Institute. Audio is Pat Akers from KBIA. Our floor director is Lowell Thomas. And our assistant producer and guest coordinator, Uncle James Mauser. And if you want to see these cute pets, go to kbia.org and look at the vodcast of Radio Friend. Bye-bye.